What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I am so excited about today's video because I have some Judydoll products to share with y'all today. The brand reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to collab with them on a video, and of course I had to say yes because Judydoll is a Chinese beauty brand, and y'all know I love my C beauty. I have been on a mission to try as many different brands as I possibly can, and Judydoll was actually one of the ones at the top of my list of brands to try in 2025. So like I said, I am really excited about this. Now, all these products were sent to me in PR, but this video is not sponsored in any way. However, the brand did give me a code for y'all to use. It is going to be SARAHTONES-QM, and that will save you 20% off of anything on their website. It is not an affiliated code, so I don't get a kickback. It is strictly there just for you in case you want to pick up some goodies and save a little bit of cash while doing so. But I will have all these products listed and linked down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use in today's video to complete my look. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's zoom in and get this party started. Alright, y'all, so we're going to go ahead and kick things off with the watery lip glosses. Now, these are actually more of a lip stain, but they're going to give you a very high shine finish, and they're supposed to give you 12 hours of transfer proof wear while still being very hydrating and nourishing on the lips, and they're not supposed to be sticky either. But the thing that really caught my attention about these is the applicator. So it has this really interesting sort of iron doe foot applicator that has this really neat curve to it that's just going to hug your lips, and it looks like it holds the perfect little amount of product. But these are going to come in 14 different shades, and they sent me 2 of them. So the first one I have is going to be 03, and it's going to be this really pretty pinky shade. So that is that shade right there. Oh, that just looks so juicy and beautiful. These do have a fragrance to them as well. It's a little bit on the fruity side, but we'll see if it kind of hangs around or if it dissipates after I get on the lips. But the other shade that I have is going to be 08, and this one is going to be a little bit more of a peachy shade, and this is the one that we're actually going to put on my lips today. So it's that second shade right there, but these look really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on my lips, which is 08, and we're going to see what it does. My lips are feeling very crusty and dusty right now. I have very dry lips anyway, so I'm just going to put on a little bit right here. I didn't line my lips. I don't have a balm or anything on, so we're just going straight over top what I have to work with. Alright, so that went on really nicely on my bottom lip, and this is really comfortable and kind of soothing since it has that iron applicator. It's kind of like whenever you get a under eye corrector or a concealer or a depuffer that has that sort of metal ball applicator, how it just feels nice and soothing. It's like the same thing but for your lips. I'm really liking it so far, but I'm going to apply a little bit more up here, and then we're going to carry on. Okay, so far I am really enjoying the glosses. These are very lightweight and hydrating on the lips. I like the high shine, I like the color payoff, and the best part is I'm not getting that weird stringy thing whenever I open and close my mouth. I cannot stand when a lip product does that. It just drives me insane. As far as the applicator goes, I liked it. It definitely has a little bit of a learning curve to it. It felt a little awkward at first, but I feel like after a couple of uses, I could get used to it, and it kind of felt a little soothing on my lips as well, kind of like it would with an under eye brightener, same kind of concept. But let's move on because we have this cute little blush and highlight palette. Like, look how adorable this is. I love the aesthetic of Judydoll. That's really kind of what draws me in, but this is going to be in the shade 04, so it does come in 4 shades total, and this one in particular is going to have 2 powder blushes, a cream blush and a powder highlight. Now, I don't know about this for a powder blush on me. I feel like it's very light. I think it would work really well as maybe an under eye brightener, like to set on top of my concealer. I do already have my concealer set, but maybe we can throw a little bit more on top and kind of see what it does, see if it's finely milled or anything like that. But we're definitely going to use the other 3 shades in here. I do have another highlighter to try out as well, so I think we're only going to use this maybe on one cheek, or maybe we'll do some layering action, something like that. But let's go ahead and swatch this out first. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade up here, and this is going to be the main color powder blush. These don't really have names or anything like that to them, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit on my finger. This is very light in pigmentation. Keep in mind this is Chinese beauty, so that's kind of the idea behind it, is soft washes of color. But that is a really pretty shade. We'll see how it kind of builds up on the cheeks. But let's swatch out this lighter one down here. So I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of that on my finger. Yeah, that's gonna be way too light for me for a blush, at least for my makeup preferences. I know there's people that like to kind of mix things and kind of do like a gradient on the cheek. I just kind of go in with one and call it a day, but you could mix it in and kind of make your own color, but it doesn't really show up on my skin. But let's go into the cream blush. So this does feel nice and creamy. It doesn't feel super balmy or sticky or anything like that, but we're gonna swatch that right there. Ooh, that is really pretty. I like the consistency of that. It's very thin. It doesn't feel like a putty, and I like the shade of it as well. That is a really pretty color. But let's do the highlighter. So the highlighter is this little one down here, and I'm wondering if this is going to be kind of a clear shade. It feels very balmy, pretty much the same consistency as the blush, and yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of color to it. It's pretty much clear. So this is more like a topper to give like a high shine, kind of a wet effect on the cheeks, which I do like. I like a little bit of everything. My makeup preferences change from day to day, but let's go ahead and start. So I think what I want to do is start with the cream blush, and we're going to do that on this cheek, and then maybe we'll do the powder blush on the other cheek and see how they perform. My face is powdered, so hopefully this won't lift or do anything funky. We're going to find out together. So I'm going to start with the cream blush right here. I'm going to pick this up with a Singe Beauty F01 brush. Just gonna dig in there a little bit, and I guess the cream's gonna go on this side. So I'm just gonna start by applying this right here. Hello, pigmentation. It is 100% there, but this is blending out really nicely. I'm not having any issues. It doesn't seem to be grabbing or lifting. It gives a really pretty glow to the cheek. I really like this. I would get a bunch of these if they had them like individually. This is a really pretty shade though. I like that a lot. All right, so for the other cheek, I'm gonna go into this powder blush right here. And this is a Sigma X Kristen Dominique angled cheek brush. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit over here. I'm gonna start with stippling motions, and then I'll start to kind of swirl and buff it out a little bit. Okay, that's definitely giving me a very soft blush moment over here, but I can see it on my skin. So unfortunately, if you have a deeper skin tone, this one may not work for you. But like I said, they do have other variations in this palette on the website, but all of them are very light. But this is really pretty. Formula wise, this is really, really nice. I like the way that's building up on my cheeks. All right, so next I want to go in with this lighter blush shade right here, and I want to throw a little bit of it on the apples of my cheeks and kind of bring it up under my eyes, see if we can get a little bit of a brightening moment going on. So I'm going to pick that shade up with a Singe Beauty F04 brush, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of it, I think right over here, like right on the apples around the edges of that cream blush that I put down. See if it'll kind of soften things a little bit more, brighten it up. Okay, yeah, that definitely brightened it and softened it a little bit. But let's put it under the eyes and see what it's gonna do. Now, like I said, my under eyes are already set. I went in with my Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Powder, but we'll see how this layers on top of it, if it's gonna start to cake up, look heavy, accentuate dryness or texture. And I don't see it doing that. It seemed to lay down really nicely. Of course, I do wanna test this on its own over a concealer and see what it's gonna do. Since it's already set, it's probably not gonna give us the best idea, but you know, it's not accentuating anything, it's not caking up on me, so that's definitely a good sign. But this is nice. I do like it. It just doesn't go with my makeup aesthetic. It's definitely giving me a nice soft gradient on my cheek over here, so I'm not mad about it. I just don't think it's anything I would reach for on its own. I would definitely kind of mix it in the way that I am now, but I am really liking the blushes in this palette. I'm really impressed with the pigmentation I was able to get with the powder one specifically. I thought it was going to be a very soft wash of color, but surprisingly, it was very buildable on the cheek. It is a flat matte blush, so it's not going to give you any sheen or anything like that, but I do think it looks very soft and blurring on the cheek. But personally, I really like the cream formula out of this palette the most. I like the pigmentation. I like how easy it was to build up and blend out. And I really like that soft sheen that it's giving my cheek over here. Like, I could just go with this and be out the door, and I feel like I don't need any highlighter. But of course, we're gonna throw some highlighter over top because we do have this one to play with, and then I have two others to play with as well. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of this with my finger. That's usually how I do a cream highlighter. And then I just kind of tap it like right over top the high points, just to give me sort of that wet glassy effect. Look at that. That is so beautiful. This is very thin. It doesn't feel sticky on my cheek at all. It's not lifting the product. It's just giving me a beautiful glow. I really like this little palette. I do wish it came a little bit deeper, especially with this shade right here, but I have to admit, I'm not mad about it, and I could definitely see me reaching for this. Like, it's definitely going to get used. It's not one of those that's just gonna get put away and be like, oh, that didn't work for me. I really like this. I've actually tried out a couple of cheek products from other C Beauty brands. I tried out some blushes and highlighters from Color Rose last year, and I wasn't too big a fan of them. I found them to be very lightly pigmented, and I found the highlighters to be a little too glittery for me. They really emphasize texture on my cheek, but I think this is a really pretty palette if you want something just simple for every day. I'm really liking it. But let's dive into these two little highlighters right here because I am excited about these. So these are going to be the highlighting powders, and these look like little donuts in there. How cute are these? So I have two of the shades. I have number 1 and number 5, and right now these are the only two that I could find on the website, so I'm assuming that the other shades are sold out, but let's go ahead and do a little swatch of each of these. So the first one that we have is going to be shade number 1, and it's this really pretty kind of champagne-y shade. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit right here. Okay, that feels very, very smooth. And let's put a little bit of that right there. Ooh, that is really, really pretty. It's a little bit more than a lit from within, but it's not quite a blinding glow, at least swatched out on my hand. We'll see what it does when we apply it to the cheek. All right, so the next one that we have is going to be shade 05, and this one looks a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more high shine, just based off of what it looks like in the pan. It's kind of reminding me of the Fenty Diamond Balm, but we'll see what it does when we swatch it out and apply it. So yeah, definitely a little bit more on the glittery side, but look at that. It has a nice transparent base to it. It's not chunky, it's very smooth. Yeah, that definitely reminds me of the Fenty Diamond Balm. Like, can you see that really pretty kind of glow that it has? Ooh, I'm excited about that. So I think what we're gonna do is we are gonna do both of these on the cheek. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with shade 01, and we're gonna pick up a little bit of this and put it on my one cheek over here. I don't have a clean highlighter brush, so we're gonna go in with a face contour brush. It'll work, right? So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of that on my brush, and I'm just gonna go right over top of this little cheek. Ooh, that's pretty. It's a very soft highlighter moment, but it's going on really nicely. I don't see like glitter flying everywhere. It's not chunky, it's not emphasizing texture, and it's not leaving that stripe on my cheek. It's blending in really, really nicely. All right, so I wanna see if I can just build this up a little bit more, see what kind of intensity we can get out of this. Oh yeah, it's definitely building up to being a blinding highlighter. That is really, really pretty on the cheek. I really like that one, but I want to apply a little bit of this other one over here. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe do just a little bit of this over top both of my cheeks. So I'm just going to go in with that same brush that I just used, pick up a little bit of it, and we're going to start over here. Ooh, my goodness, it is definitely grabbing onto that balm a little bit, so I don't know if I would suggest that technique, especially if you want something a little bit more subtle, but look at that. It really, really amped it up. That's pretty on that cheek. Not my favorite, but it is really pretty. I don't know if I would feel comfortable wearing that on the daily, but let's do a little bit of this over top over here and see what it's gonna do. Oh yeah. Really pretty, giving me that amped up wet glass-like skin over here. Very, very pretty. Now I will say, if you don't like anything super sparkly, this is not going to be the one for you. It is very smooth. I don't feel like I'm getting like chunks of glitter everywhere, but it definitely has that kind of glittery sparkle to the skin, if you know what I mean. But the other one, which is shade 01, this one was very smooth and I didn't get that with it. So there's definitely options when it comes to the highlighters, but I think both of them are absolutely beautiful, and I feel like we are just sparkling and just very wet, very hydrating, just very healthy looking on the cheeks right now. I'm really liking the way this looks. All right, so moving on to the eyes, we have this little palette right here. This is the Play Color All-in-One palette. I have mine in the shade 02, which is going to be Bronze Glam. This comes in several different variations, but I really like the warm tones in here. But you're gonna get 7 different shades in here, and it looks like you're gonna get 3 different formulas. So you're gonna get a matte formula. It looks like you have like a matte with sparkles, and then you have some really pretty high impact shimmer shades as well. I'm excited to create a look with this. You could actually use this as a blush as well, which I think would be really pretty. I'll definitely have to try that out, but let's go ahead and start off this look. So per usual, my eyes are primed and ready to go with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this really pretty kind of peachy tone up here and just kind of fluff it into my crease. So I'm gonna pick that up with a BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm just gonna start to kind of build this up, like I said, in my crease area, giving me a little bit of depth and definition, and just kind of blow it out and make sure it's nice and soft. We don't have any harsh lines. I want to see if this is going to build up, if it's going to patch, if it's going to skip, grab, if I'm going to get any fallout, or if we're going to get a really good, pretty look with this. Okay, so I think what I want to do next is go into this shade right here and start to build up a little bit of depth in my outer corner. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO6 brush, and I'm just going to start to kind of pack it out there and see what kind of pigmentation we can get. So I'm just going to press this out here and just softly start to build it. Okay, hello pigmentation. It is definitely there. These are definitely not a soft wash of color, which I personally like. I'm sure you could very easily kind of soften it and blend it out a little bit more if you didn't want this high impact of a color, but this is going on really nicely. I'm not getting any fallout down here, and you would know because this is a cream highlighter and it's not sticking to anything. It's laying down really nicely, and this is one of those shades that has a little bit of sparkles in it, but as I'm kind of blending and buffing, it just looks like a really nice matte shade. But that's really pretty. I like the way that's going on. So I am going to bring that shade down onto my lower lash line as well. I'm just going to kind of line it up with what we have going up on my lid, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye, and we'll come back and bring a little bit more depth to this outer corner. So before I go in and deepen up my outer corner, I want to go in with a little bit of this shade right here and see if I can use it to sort of soften the edges on this look a little bit. I don't feel like I need it, but I definitely want to test out the shade and the performance of it and see if it's going to look chalky or stark, or if it's just going to blend out really beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my same BK Beauty 201 brush that I used to apply the first shade. I just went ahead and wiped it off really quickly, and I'm just going to go ahead and start kind of softening right over here with very light swirling motions. I'm using minimal pressure. I just want to see what this is going to do, because sometimes these lighter shades can be too pigmented and really overtake everything and just completely wipe out everything you put down, but sometimes they work really nicely to kind of blend everything out, and that's definitely what I'm getting from this. I like the soft pigmentation of it. It's performing beautifully. All right, so now we're gonna go in with this darker shade to deepen up the outer corner just a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO5 brush, and I'm just very lightly gonna tap it right here in my very outer corner just to see if we can get a little bit of depth and smokiness out here. Absolutely, it's building up really nicely. I would prefer if this went a little bit deeper, but that's a personal preference thing that has nothing to do with the performance of the formula overall. That just has to do with a color story thing, but it's definitely giving me a little bit of smokiness and glam out here. So this is going to be very versatile as far as the shades in here go. You can get some really nice one and dones. You can do a very soft everyday look, or you can really smoke this out and give you something a little bit more for the evening, for a date night, or if you're like me and you just want a smoky look that you can wear to go to the grocery store. All right, so we have one more matte shade to play with in this palette, and that's gonna be this really pretty kind of taupey shade right here. And I'm just gonna use that on the rest of my lower lash line just to kind of buff and blend everything out a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO4 brush, and I am just going to kind of, like I said, buff and blend this right here along my lower lash line. I'm not gonna bring it down too low. I'm not gonna bring it all the way over to my inner corner. I just want to apply it right here where I didn't put anything else on my lower lash line and give a little bit of added smokiness and depth to this lower lash line. That is really pretty. I like that shade. My lids are primed and ready to go with my NYX glitter primer, and we're gonna pop these two shimmers all over the lid, but first I wanna swatch the two shades out just so I can get a feel of the formula and kind of what we're working with here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one right here and just do a quick swatch of this one on the back of my hand. This feels very smooth. It doesn't feel super creamy, but it doesn't feel gritty or dry or like a pressed glitter. That is really, really pretty. It's not super high shine and impactful, but it definitely has a really pretty sparkle to it. But let's go ahead and swatch out the other one. So that one is going to be this one right here. I feel like this one has a little bit more of like that wet effect going on for it. Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a beautiful kind of pop in the center of the lid, the inner corner, just to give that added sparkle. But both of these felt very smooth. Like I said, they didn't feel gritty or textured. They don't feel like pressed glitters. They just look like very high shine, beautiful sparkles for all over the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the darker of the two shades. I'm just going to pick it up with my finger because I want to see how these are going to apply with both a finger and a brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up and I'm going to pop it all over my lid. I'm going to bring it over towards the inner corner, but I'm going to stop like right there and leave that little bitty space open. And I'm just going to kind of bring it over towards my outer corner. That's really pretty. These are definitely giving me more of like that toppery vibe. These aren't these aren't very basey as far as the shade goes. They're definitely a little bit more on that translucent side, but still very pretty, very smooth and flattering on the lid. So for the other eye, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shade with my BK Beauty 203 brush, and I'm going to spray it with some MAC Fix Plus and see if that makes a difference as far as the impact and the shine goes with this shade, or if it's going to give me kind of the same payoff. So I'm just going to spray it, and I'm going to start pressing this all over my lid. Okay, so it's going on really nicely with a brush. I'm not getting any fallout or anything like that, but I definitely think it kind of muted the shine a little bit. I don't normally find that to be the case with shimmers. Normally, whenever I pick it up with a brush and spray it, it kind of amplifies it a little bit. But if I'm comparing the two eyes side by side, I feel like this one just has a little bit more of that high shine wet effect. And this one, while it's still very shiny and sparkly and reflective, it looks a little bit more muted compared to the other one. Maybe it's just me. I don't have the best eyesight, so let me know what you think down below, but personally I like this formula applied with a finger. But let's go ahead and dive into the other shade and do a little bit of like a spotlight moment with it and do it on the inner corner. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do the one side with my finger, and then I'm gonna do the other side with a brush. So let's start with picking it up and kind of popping it on the center right here. See what kind of little moment we can get with that. Ooh. That's really pretty. It definitely amped things up a little bit, but let me pick it up with my pinky, and we're gonna pop this right here in the inner corner and kind of that little vacant space on my lid and kind of blend it up a little bit. Very pretty. I like these. These are really nice. So for the other eye, I went ahead and picked up the same shade with my Singe Beauty EO1, and I'm gonna start by pressing it right here in my inner corner. It's gonna give me a little bit more control, which is why I usually like to use a brush for my inner corner, but every now and then I'll use my finger. But I'm just gonna kind of put it in there, blend it up, blend it down, and then I'm gonna pick up a little bit more, spray it again, and we're gonna pop this right in the very center. I don't normally ever do this with a brush, but again, I wanna check the performance. I wanna see what it's gonna do. So we're gonna give it a spritz, and we're gonna pop this right here in the very center. Now with this shade, I feel like I get the same impact with a brush as I do with a finger. But again, I feel like I like this formula overall better with a finger than I do with a brush. I just feel like it's very easy to apply, and I like the way that it looks on my lids personally. So I went ahead and did my liner off camera real quick. I just went into my lower waterline with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Cinnamon. And to line my lid, I went in with the Judydoll Slim Liquid Eyeliner. This is in the shade 02 Deep Brown. And this has the most slim, precise little applicator ever. Like, it almost looks like a brow pen. It's so small. But these little applicators are great if you have smaller lids, or maybe you want just a really precise line across the lid. Or if you're someone like me and you're kind of challenged when it comes comes to a wing. This makes it really easy to kind of flick it out and keep it from getting away from you. I have tiny little baby wings going on and they look really, really nice. This went on nice. It didn't pull, it didn't tug. It's nice and pigmented. And so far it's not irritating my eyes, but I will keep y'all posted in a future speed reviews video as far as longevity and how it holds up to my watery lids. But one thing that I do want to mention is that if you decide to pick this up, make sure you give it a really, really good shake and prime the brush on the back of your hand, because when I first went to apply it, I went straight onto my lid and I was like, oh no, nothing is coming out. They gave me a dried up liner. So I frantically went onto my hand and sure enough, I had to prime it and it came out no issue. But let me show you what this looks like, because it is a really pigmented brown liner. I have tried so many brown liquid liners and none of them seem to be this pigmented. Usually they're more of like a light wash. You kind of wonder if it's even there or if it is dried up because it's that lightly pigmented. But this one looks really nice and I'm impressed with it so far. So we'll see how long it holds on. Like I said, how it's going to hold up to my eyes and all that. So I will keep y'all posted. And last but not least, we have the Iron Mascara, and I feel like this is the product the brand is most known for. It really kind of put them on the map last year because it went viral all over social media, and for good reason. It is literally an iron applicator with little divots in it, and everybody wanted to know if it was actually going to work. Myself included. This is the one that I actually picked up and it does work. It coats your lashes really nicely. It grabs on, it gives them a little bit of length. It doesn't give a ton of curl, which is what I didn't absolutely love about it. And it's also going to give you a very subtle lash as well. Very reminiscent to the Future Lash from Victoria Beckham. So if you're someone who wants high impact with their mascara, the original one is definitely not going to be that, but it is a lot of fun to use. It held up on my eyes. It didn't flake. It didn't transfer. And even when my eyes watered, it stayed in place. But it does come in two other variations as well that I have not tried out. So it comes in the curling iron mascara and it comes in the slim iron mascara. So we're going to try both of these out today. So let's go ahead and start with the curling mascara. So that is what the wand looks like on here. You can see it's curled up just a little bit. So it's not going to be completely straight across like the other one was. So we're going to try this on my top lashes. And then for the bottom lashes, I want to go into this slim one because this looks like it's going to be a really good lower line or lower lash mascara, because look at how small that is compared to the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and curl my lashes really quick and then we're going to apply both of these. Alright y'all, so I'm going to go ahead and start with my top lashes, and I am just going to start at the base and run it up just like I would with any other mascara, and we're going to give this a good coat and see what it's going to do. Alright, so this is what we're looking like with one coat of the mascara on, and it definitely gave me a little bit of length and volume, but let's go ahead and throw on another coat and see what it's going to do. So I'm just going to, again, go right over from base to tip, applying a second coat. Alright, so here is the second coat, and I really like the way this looks. It's definitely giving me more than the original one did. It's not quite as full and voluminous as what I prefer, but it gave me some length. It gave me a little bit of volume. We'll see how it does as far as holding the curl goes, but let's try the other one on the lower lash line because this is the one that I'm really excited about. It's really hard for me to kind of get down there. I have tiny little lashes. There's a lot of them, but they're pretty tiny and I can make a mess immediately. So I'm just going to take this little one and I'm going to come right here on my lower lashes and just kind of lightly coat them. Just gonna kind of brush it out and not do a whole lot of wiggling, but I like how small this applicator is because normally they're just too big and I just make a huge mess down here. But look at that. That looks really, really pretty. I like this. Hey, if it holds up to my watery eyes, this could be a new staple in my collection at least. Y'all, so this is our completed look and I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I had such a good time playing with all these products today and testing them out for y'all, and of course I will keep y'all posted as I continue to test them out, and I will include them in a future speed reviews video. But let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you've tried any of these, if they're on your radar, what you thought of the look. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section, and as always I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me, and if you like like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.